Yeah.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to Strawberry's Gamer Society. I am Strawberry, and thank you, YouTube, for the 10,000 subs. I just have to say how grateful I am for all of you who have subscribed to my channel. I know that what I do is you have to just make the best content you can make and not let the numbers bother you, because I have absolutely no control over the numbers. Yeah!
Yeah.
Hello, Ryan! Yes. Oh, hey, Miller, you're here. Awesome. Yes, so today we are doing... So I wasn't sure what my voice was going to feel like today, because yesterday I had a little medical thing done called an endoscopy, where they put a scope down my throat, and it says in the pre-op stuff that your voice might be sore for several days, and so I wanted to make sure that I had something lined up just in case my voice was sore, so that I didn't have to talk for the whole hour. Yay, glad you're here. Awesome.
So what we're about to hear is pre-recorded dialogue.
Yes,
so
I pre-recorded the Sherlock Holmes thing, and I did the whole thing in 2 takes. So I did the first take, I did the first 20 minutes of it, and then I was like, I am so tired, my eyes are just closing, I'm gonna have to finish this tomorrow morning. And so then I went to sleep, and then I finished it the next morning before I went and did the medical procedure. And so then I put them both together and made it all into one long audio thing. And yes, and Papsy Train would like to know that there is going to be a train section in this audio. So yes, for those of you train enthusiasts, there's a section where the 2 of them are on a train. So I will play some train sound effects for that section. And yes.
Yes. Yeah. I wish I could stay for that, but unfortunately, I have to leave in 4 minutes because I have to do homework.
Aw, well, you can listen to the VOD sometime this weekend.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you had tonsils. Yeah. So this is, hopefully it's nothing. It's just I have bad cancer genes. It's a thing that happens. And so I kind of figure it's going to be a when, not an if for me. But so far it's a not yet. But when that happens, I would like to catch things early. And so this is a procedure where they basically put a scope down my throat and looked at my stomach and said, do we see any cancer? Nope, we don't see anything that looks like cancer. Well, they saw one little maybe thing and they're like, it doesn't really look like it could be cancer, but we'll just take a sample just in case. And so they're going to send that off to the lab and get me the results in 5 to 7 days. And now is the dreadful waiting point. And I gotta say, I was a lot more worried about the procedure going into it, and then it turned out to be a whole big nothing burger. So turns out I probably didn't need to pre-record, although because I did pre-record, it means that I can spend a little more time looking at my Minecraft stuff without having to think of what I'm going to be saying next. So perhaps today's Minecraft stream is going to be a little bit more interesting than usual. I got some ideas. I'm just gonna have chickens be all over the floor in here, and then just fight the wither with chickens everywhere and run around and pick up the roses and stop trying to be so clever about it.
Okay, so, what are chickens have to do with the withers? Are the chickens just gonna kill the wither or something?
No, the wither's gonna kill the chickens, and when the wither kills the chickens, they drop wither roses. That's the whole point of all of this. Yes, my chicken army. So, where is it? So this box here, I believe, is full of chicken eggs, if I am correct.
Also, I'm here now.
Oh, hey!
Yeah.
Yay!
Hello.
That's the advantage of doing these later, is that you are not working.
Not working.
Yay!
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not being paid to say that either.
Yay! Yes. So I have to figure out. Okay, I need to like dump
Uh,
all the stuff I
And
don't
yeah, Strawberry
need.
does know this is the least efficient way to do this, but she doesn't care because that's fun.
Yes, exactly. Like
yeah.
it could there obviously there could be better ways to do this, but I am doing it this way because it's fun. Okay, those I need to keep.
So you're fighting it in the
3 of these.
cave?
3. Yeah, I was gonna do it in the cave, and I was just going to
Okay, grab the
empty
apples
my
ready, 'cause
inventory. What was that?
you do you have potions? Do you have food stuff?
I have 33
Because this
golden
is the hardest
carrots,
way to fight a wither.
and I have totems of undying, and
Hmm.
yes, but it's
I
the
have
most
potions.
fun. There we go. It is the most fun way. Exactly. The
How many withers do you want to fight?
just one at a time. Thank you very much. Just one at a time. And here we go. Eggs. Eggs.
I have an
Okay,
idea. What if we do this
so-
for the Winter Olympics?
Mm-hmm.
And we add ice to it.
How many withers roses you can get?
Yeah, we just want to get
No,
a bunch
not
of
wither-
wither roses. There
No,
we
I
go.
think we should make this even harder. We just the points are decided by the amount of nether stars you get from the wither.
There we go.
It only drops one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to kill multiple withers, that's how you get points. You know what I mean?
No, we don't.
Every nether star would be worth 5 points. So you
Oh,
can go, like,
I
multiple-
see. So we have like another contest.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Also,
Well,
the other
This is a
day I
good
made
use after
myself.
this.
oops, I couldn't hear you
Anyways,
both at the same time. Go ahead.
I made myself a smite sword because I found out the other day that you can actually one tap regular mobs with it instead of sharpness. Because apparently, smite
interesting.
does slightly more damage to
Wait,
undead
really?
mobs than sharpness does.
I did not know that.
I didn't
Neither
either until
have
I saw, and it's all because I watched Queen Cack speedrunning.
Ah, yes, I do learn a
How-
lot from watching the speedrunners. Yeah, and she's really
oh,
good
my-
about letting people know, like, if you ask questions about what she's doing, like, some of the speedrunners are kind of annoyed at their chats, but she's really good at explaining what she's doing and being very patient about the whole thing. So I really like Queen Cack as a streamer. I find the same about Nerdy too. Like I like both of them for their streaming abilities.
So anyway, my main sword is sharpness, but the only real reason you would have sharpness in like as a daily driver now is if you're doing PvP. Otherwise, smite is basically the no-brainer.
Smite is better for mobs. I did not know that. Okay.
Oh, it's better for mobs. Never mind.
Yeah, like where's this zombie?
Yeah. And I'm trying to see if I have any more blocks because I want to block off that section the water is coming out of. Well, I guess wood will have to.
Did you dupe your skulls, Strawberry? Or did you get them yourself?
I was given them as a present, so I don't know how they came to be, if they were duped or not. But here you go. Yes, if you want to take some chicken eggs, there's some more farther down the aisle there.
Oh, you should. Okay. Okay, I
What?
see how you're.
Oh my god.
You
I
see-
personally would dig a pit so that, because. Yes, let's do it this way. I should not be talking. This is your stream. We're going to do it your way.
Mate.
well, I'm open to suggestions, though. What did you have in
There's
mind?
already 3 chickens here.
Okay.
Block.
Yes. So
Block.
my idea was I was just gonna block this part off to make it. I guess the wither probably will open this edge up here, but to start off with, then this section is going to be blocked off. And
As Queen Tack would say, I'm
yeah.
backseat gaming.
you're what?
Wood.
Backseat gaming.
Yes. That's okay. Wait, this
Why
is
Why are you
SMP,
doing this
not a
thing? It's
speed
so
run.
much better to do it this other way.
Yeah, well, but it's fun to do it this way. The basic idea is we have this nice
I know.
open pit here, and there's gonna be a lot of chickens. So let's see here. Chickens on 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
But you know what withers
There
are
we go.
also really good at? Which I know you already know?
Mm-hmm.
Destroying items drop on the
blocks.
ground.
Yes. So that's
So-
why there's gonna be chickens
Oh.
all over the place. And then
That's where that zombie
we have
went.
to pick up we have to pick up the wither roses.
See how I just one-tap those zombies?
Uh-huh, nice. Well, you can help me with killing the wither too. We just have to make sure that the wither also gets some of the chickens.
Oh my god!
So the easiest way to get them the chickens to die without the wither roses getting blown up is with the initial explosion. Like I said the other day.
Okay, so I will put
With these
the
guys
wither-
already,
But does
Oh,
it
well, I
no.
guess you can't attract them into a attract them into a hole
does
with
it
seeds.
yeah, does it blow up the
FC, can you mute yourself when you're not talking, please?
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry. I was just thinking of something very funny right now because of the amount of baby chickens that you guys are spawning.
Yes,
Ah.
we understand that, but the stream doesn't need to know.
Okay.
Yes. So the question is, do the what was I gonna say again?
There's a lot of
In
mobs
the
in here.
initial explosion, if it just explodes, then will it blow up the roses as well? Because the last time
The initial explosion does not.
it does not. Okay, got it. So we need to have some seeds and attract the chickens to the place that's near where the guy's gonna explode. And then, ooh, baby zombie incoming. Careful. Yeah. Okay.
It takes two, except it's
Yay.
not. It's Minecraft.
All right. So, do you have
that's water.
any seeds? I don't think I have any more seeds. Oh, actually, I do have.
I have
seeds.
pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, I have seeds in my ender chest.
I've got a. Oh, we have a beacon here.
Ooh.
I have an ender chest.
You have an ender chest? Okay, I was just go.
I always have an ender chest on me.
Yeah, there's an ender chest over here.
It's very convenient.
Okay, got it. Here we go. Seeds. This is my set of emergency if somebody has taken last of everything. Okay. Oh my, and I only have a few bits of seeds left. Although here, I'm gonna give one to you and one to me, and then the third one I'm going to put back in my Noah's Ark of seeds. Okay.
I'm gonna cover this up extra more because there's a cave below here, and I don't want to fall down there.
Okay. That sounds good. Especially if you have blocks. I have fewer blocks than I might like. Okay.
I got these blocks from up there.
Aha. All right, chickies, come on over this way. And
I
here's
did
some
not yearn
seeds.
for the mines, but
Here you go.
these
So there's
blocks
some-
sure did.
There's some seeds for you right down here. If you would like those seeds. So
Got
now
'em.
you can make the chickens go where you would like. Why don't we bring the
Oh, right.
chickens over here and we could start it off this way? What do you think?
Give me a second. I'm getting blocks. Okay, where?
Okay. So over here. So we can kind of start the chickens over this way. Oops. There we
And then the
go.
wither needs to be close enough to these guys to kill them.
Yes. So how about this? We'll put the wither up there. Okay.
That's-
And now, if I put it on the ceiling, will that work? I've never tried that. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 1.
No, not there. That's not close enough.
It's not close enough. Uh-oh. What is...
Oh, it's a
Do
witch.
we have a witch? Is a witch killing all our chickens? No.
It's a poison potion. It's fine.
Okay. So,
Let's put this back one more further.
okay.
I've got stuff.
Oh, you've got stuff to make it? Okay.
Wait a minute.
Poison's
How did these guys get up here?
damage.
Oh. Okay. We gotta get them back in here.
Uh-oh. There we go. Switch. How about do that and that?
That's like 10 wither roses.
Okay.
How many wither roses do you want, by the way? Like, what are you trying to? How many are you trying to get?
Will do. Here. Let's see here.
These guys are still getting out.
They're still getting out. Ah, hey, chickies, come back over here. Here, come this way. All right, and come all the way over here.
Okay, now they shouldn't be able to go out.
Okay, got it. But then we need to be able to get out. So, can go here and jump out.
Yes, use a block that's not directly adjacent to that works.
Yeah, that would work if I didn't hit my head and miss the jump.
Now that I think about it, he's gonna sink when he's summoned anyway, so I guess it doesn't technically matter where we...
Wait, how are they getting out again?
Strawberry. You placed the block there again.
What? But they shouldn't be able to go up a too high spot.
They didn't. You see that soul sand right there?
Uh-huh.
That's where that block was.
Oh.
Chickens are 1 block tall.
Okay. Well, here. Get out of here. Get out of here, you. There we go.
What?
Oh, they're getting out this way now. How are they doing that? They're following you.
Oh, wow. There's a lot more up here.
Okay. Well, you want to bring them down this way? Wait, are they getting out this way? No.
This is where all of our wither roses went.
Okay, so if we go here...
I brought the fleet. Look at me.
Yay! It's the chicken daddy! Here we go. Here comes the chickens. Oh, they're following you!
Someone play Flight of the Valkyries.
It's so cute. I do not have Flight of the Valkyries
Uh-oh.
preloaded. Sorry. Here, do that. Okay. Now you can come out that way too. Oops, there's one more out here, but maybe the wither will get it later.
That's most of them. Statistically, it's insignificant.
Okay.
Long arms might disagree, but I don't care.
Are we ready? Do you have heads?
I do have heads.
Would you like to do the honors?
I got these last night.
Okay, so
I worked
after
hard
we get
for
it
these.
started, then I am going to start I will start the Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I need to get my potions because I don't feel like dying.
Ah, okay. Got it. Yeah, and on this half of the cave, then there is regeneration. So all you have to
You're
do
right.
is
I
come
don't need
back
my
here.
Intel.
Yeah.
There's no strength here, so I'm going to take one of those.
Okay. Yes, and Hollow Knight stream tomorrow.
I'm going to pick up my ender chest too. Okay, let's do this.
Okay. Woohoo! All right. Are we ready? So back up so that we don't die. And now, pick up the wither roses. Did you get any?
I got 30.
Yay! Okay, so
Okay, I'm gonna
now...
get my food on my bar.
Oh, and I am going to get a little further
Oh,
away.
I should probably take off my
Sherlock
elytra. That's
Holmes.
probably a good
It
idea.
was from Sherlock Holmes and ran in this way. Have you a couple of days to spare? Have just been wired from the west of England and connect the Boscombe Valley Mystery. We were seated at breakfast one morning, my wife and I, when the maid brought in a telegram. It was from Sherlock Holmes and ran in this way. Have you a couple of days to spare? Have just been wired from the west of England in connection with Boscombe Valley tragedy. Shall be glad if you will come with me. Air and scenery perfect. Leave Paddington by the 11:15. What do you say, dear? Said my wife, looking across at me.
Woohoo!
Will you
got
go?
it.
Got the star. Do you want the star, or you want
really
me to keep
know
it?
what to say.
You can keep it, that's
I have a
fine.
fairly
I have
long
plenty.
list at present.
We don't really need them.
Oh, Aunt Struder will do your work for you. You have been looking a little pale lately. I think the change would do you good. And you're always so interested in Mr. Sherlock Holmes's cases.
Okay.
I should be
do you have somewhere
ungrateful
place
if I
safe
were
to
not,
put the
seeing
wither
what I gained
roses?
through one of them, I answered.
Here,
But
do you
if
wanna-
I am to go,
I'll just
I
put
must
down
pack
mine in their
at once,
chest, and
for
then
I have only
you
half
can
an
just
hour.
put them in there.
That works.
My experience of camp life in Afghanistan had at
Right here.
least the effect of making me a prompt and ready traveler.
Oh,
My
very-
wants were few and simple, so that in less than the time stated, I was in a cab with my valise. A valise is a suitcase, rattling away to Paddington Station. Sherlock Holmes was pacing up and down the platform.
The
his
silly
tall,
syndicate
gaunt figure
gunpowder
made even
gift for
gaunter
Strawberry.
and taller by
I
his
knew there
long
was space
gray
in there.
traveling cloak and close-fitting cloth cap.
This zombie is
It
spinning
is really very, good of you to
fast
come,
in this
Watson,
water.
said he. It makes a considerable difference to
And
me,
he's got
having
style
someone
too.
with
He's
me
wearing all
on whom I can
gold
thoroughly
armor that's
rely.
enchanted.
Local aid is always either worthless
We'll
or
just
else
leave him be.
biased.
He's
If
vibing.
you will keep the two corner
All right.
seats, I shall get the tickets. We had the carriage to ourselves, save for an immense litter of papers which Holmes had brought with him. Among these, he rummaged and read,
We'll use
with
your
intervals of
skulls and stuff
note-taking
this
and
time.
meditation,
Okay.
until we were past Reading. Then
go.
he suddenly rolled them all into a gigantic ball and tossed
I
them
have
up onto
one
the rack.
torch.
Have you heard anything?
Although
of
I do
the
have more
case, he
material.
asked?
I have materials for more.
Not a word.
Did you
I
start
have not seen a
the
paper for some
voiceover?
days.
Yes. Yeah.
The London
it is
press.
going.
I don't know how
He's
much
talking
they're
on
gonna
top
be able
of
to
it.
hear.
I
Yeah,
have
you are
just
talking
been
on
looking
top of it,
through
just so
all
you
the
know.
recent papers in order to master the
Dang it.
particulars. It seems, from what I gather, to be one of those simple cases which are so extremely
Pepsi Train
difficult.
seems to be giving nice commentary.
That sounds a little paradoxical. Ah, but it is profoundly true. Singularity is almost invariably a clue. The more featureless and commonplace a crime is, the more difficult it is to bring it home. In this case, however, they have established a very serious case against the son of the murdered man. Is it a murder, then? Well, it is conjectured to be so. I shall take nothing for granted until I have the opportunity of looking personally into it. I will explain the state of things to you, as far as I have been able to understand it, in a very few words. Boscombe Valley is a country district, not far from Ross, in Herefordshire. The largest landed proprietor in that part is a Mr. John Turner, who made his money in Australia and returned home some years ago to the old country. One of the farms which he held, that of Hatherley, was let to a Mr. Charles McCarthy, who was also an ex-Australian. The men had known each other in the colonies, so that it was not unnatural that when they came to settle down they should do so as near each other
Oh,
as
there's
possible.
a
Turner
chest
was
with a bunch of
apparently the
snowballs
richer
and stuff
man,
with hoppers.
so McCarthy became his tenant, but
Yes.
still remained, it seems, upon
What was
terms
this
of
about?
perfect equality,
That was
as
from
they
the other
were
day.
Oh, this-
frequently together.
it looks like you were
McCarthy
trying
had one
to.
son, a
Oh, I
lad
remember.
of
You said you were
18,
trying to automatically
and
pick
Turner
up stuff.
had an only daughter of the same age.
And
but
with
neither
withers,
of
it
them
doesn't
had
really work
wives
that
living.
well,
They appear to have
Yes.
avoided the society
which
of
is why
the
no one
neighboring
designs a
English
system
families,
that way.
and to have led retired lives. Though both the
But it's
McCarthys
okay.
were fond of sport
I-
and were frequently seen
For
at the
my
race
senior
meetings of the
project at
neighborhood.
college, I did something that was very
McCarthy
much not
took
unique,
two
but I did it
servants,
because
a
I
man
wanted
and a girl.
to, and I had never had done it
Turner
before.
had
So
a
yeah,
considerable household.
so that's why we're doing
Some
this.
half dozen at the least. That is as much as I
Okay,
have been
are you
And in
able to gather
hindsight-
about the
round?
families. Now,
Yeah.
for the facts. On the
For
3rd.
anyone in chat
on
that's
June
interested,
3rd,
basically
that is on Monday last.
remember you're talking
McCarthy
over Sherlock
left
Holmes.
his house at Hatherley
You're right.
about 3 in the afternoon and walked down
I
to the
forget.
Boscombe Pool,
I like talking.
which is a small lake formed by the spreading out of the
I'm going to
stream
die.
which runs down the Boscombe Valley.
You'll be fine.
He had been out with his serving man in the morning at Ross, and he had told the man that he must hurry, as he had an appointment of importance to keep at 3. From that appointment, he never came back alive. Bum, bum, bum.
Almost said
Hatherley
bum, bum,
Farmhouse
bum
to the
again.
Boscombe Pool is a quarter of a mile, and 2 people saw him as he passed over this ground. One was an old woman, whose name is not mentioned, and the other was William Crowder, a gamekeeper in the employ of Mr. Turner. Both these witnesses deposed that Mr. McCarthy was walking alone. The gamekeeper adds that within a few minutes of his seeing Mr. McCarthy pass, he had seen his son, Mr. James McCarthy, going the very same way with a gun under
got
his
it.
arm. To the best
I didn't
of
have any
his
food on my
belief,
bar.
the father was actually in sight at the time, and the son was following him.
Here comes the zombie.
He thought no more of the matter until he heard in the evening of the tragedy that had occurred. The 2 McCarthys were seen at the time when William Crowder, the gamekeeper, lost sight of them. The Boscombe Pool is thickly wooded round, with just a fringe of grass and the reeds around the edge. A girl of 14, Patience Moran, who is the daughter of the lodge-keeper of the Boscombe Valley estate, was in one of the woods picking flowers. She states that while she was there, she saw, at the border of the wood and close by the lake, Mr. McCarthy and his son, and that they appeared to be having a violent quarrel. She heard Mr. McCarthy the elder using very strong language to his son, and she saw the latter rise up his hand as if to strike his father. She was so frightened by their violence that she ran away and told her mother when she reached home that she had left the 2 McCarthys quarreling near Boscombe Pool, and that she was afraid that they were going to fight. She had hardly said the words when young Mr. McCarthy came running up to the lodge to say that he had found his father dead in the wood, and to ask for the help of the lodge-keeper. He was much excited, without either his gun or his hat, and his right hand and sleeve were observed to be stained with fresh blood. On following him, they found the dead body stretched out upon the grass beside the pool. The head had been beaten by repeated blows of some heavy and blunt weapon. The injuries were such as might very well have been inflicted by the butt end of his son's gun, which was found lying on the grass within a few paces of the body. Under these circumstances, the young man was instantly arrested, and a verdict of wilful murder having been returned at the inquest on Tuesday. He was on Wednesday brought before the magistrates at Ross, who have referred the case to the next assizes. So, an assizes is like a traveling court that goes from county to county, because they didn't have that many cases, enough to have one that's a permanent installation, and so they traveled around and came from time to time to the local areas. Those are the main facts of the case, as they came out before the coroner and the police court. I could hardly imagine a more damning case, I remarked. If ever circumstantial evidence pointed to a criminal, it does so here. Circumstantial evidence is a very tricky thing, answered Holmes thoughtfully. It may seem to point very straight to one thing, but if you shift your own point of view a little, you may find it pointing in an equally uncompromising manner to something entirely different. It must be confessed, however, that this case looks exceedingly grave against the young man, and it is very possible that he is indeed the culprit. There are several people in the neighborhood, however, and among them Miss Turner, the daughter of the neighborhood landowner, who believe in his innocence, and who have retained Lestrade, whom you may recollect in connection with the study in Scarlet, to work out the case in his interest. Lestrade, being rather puzzled, has referred the case to me, and hence it is that two middle-aged gentlemen are flying westward at 50 miles an hour instead of quietly digesting their breakfasts at home. I am afraid, said I, that the facts are so obvious that you will find little
We're getting
credit
real
to be
close
gained
to
out of
the
this case.
thing up there.
Yeah.
There is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact, he answered, laughing. Besides, we may chance to hit upon some other obvious facts which may have been by no means obvious to Mr. Lestrade. You know me too well that I am boasting when I say that I shall either confirm or destroy
Maybe we
his
should go
theory
up further into
by
this
means
part.
which he is quite incapable of employing, or even of understanding. To take the first example to hand, I very clearly perceive that in your bedroom the window is upon the right-hand side, and yet I question whether Mr. Lestrade would have noted so self-evident a thing as that. How on earth? My dear fellow, I know you well. I know the military neat list which characterizes you. You shave every morning, and this season you shave by the sunlight. But since your shaving is less and less complete as we get farther back on the left side until it becomes positively slovenly as we get around the angle of the jaw, it is surely very clear that that side is less illuminated than the other. I could not imagine a man of your habits looking at himself in an equal light and being satisfied with such a result. I only quote this as a trivial example of observation and inference. Therein lies my métier, and it is just possible that it may be of some service in the investigation which lies before us. There are one or two minor points which are brought out in the inquest, and which are worth considering. What are they? It appears that his arrest did not take place at once, but after the return to Hatherley Farm. On the inspector of constabulary informing him that he was a prisoner, he remarked that he was not surprised to hear it, and that it was no more than his deserts. This observation of his had the natural effect of removing any traces of doubt which might have remained in the minds of the coroner's jury. It was a confession, I ejaculated. No, for it was followed by a protestation of innocence. Coming on top of such a damning series of events, it was at least a suspicious remark. On the contrary, said Holmes, it is the brightest rift which I can at present see in the clouds. However innocent he may be, he could not be such an absolute imbecile as not to see that the circumstances were very black against him. Had he appeared surprised at his own arrest, or feigned indignation at it, I should have looked upon it as highly suspicious, because such surprise or anger would not be natural under the circumstances, and yet might appear to be the best policy to a scheming man. His frank acceptance of the situation marks him as either an innocent man, or else as a man of considerable self-restraint and firmness. As to his remark about his deserts, it was also not unnatural if you consider that he stood beside the dead body of his father, and that there is no doubt that he had that very day so far forgotten his filial duty as to bandy words with him, and even, according to the little girl whose evidence is so important, to raise his hand as if to strike him. The self-reproach and contrition which are displayed in his remark appear to me to be the signs of a healthy mind, rather than of a guilty one. I shook my head. Many men have been hanged on far slighter evidence, I remarked.
Give me 10 push-ups.
So they have, and many men have been wrongfully hanged. What is the young man's own account of the matter? It is, I am afraid, not very encouraging to his supporters, though there are one or two points in it which are suggestive. You will find it here, and may read it for yourself. He picked out from his bundle a copy of the local Herefordshire paper, and, having turned down the sheet, He pointed out the paragraph which the unfortunate young man had given his own statement of what had occurred. I settled myself down in the corner of the carriage and read it very carefully. It ran in this way.
I was so tired
Mr.
when I was
James
recording
McCarthy,
this.
the only son of the deceased, was then called and gave evidence as follows. I had been
I
away
should
from
build this
home for
first. The
3
chickens
days
are
at
in the
Bristol,
way.
and had only just returned upon the morning of last Monday the 3rd.
Decorations.
My father was absent from home at the time of my arrival, and I was informed by the maid that he had driven over to Ross with John Cobb.
Strawberry, I already got it.
Room.
I already got it. He's right next to you.
Room in this case refers to somebody who works in a stable as opposed to somebody who's getting married.
Woohoo!
Hydrate. Shortly after my return, I heard the wheels of his trap in the yard, and, looking out of my window, I saw him get out and walk rapidly out of the yard, though I was not aware in which direction he was going. I then took my gun and strolled out in the direction of the Boscombe pool, with the intention of visiting the rabbit warren, which is upon the other side. On my way, I saw William Crowder, the gamekeeper, as he had stated in his evidence. But he is mistaken in thinking that I was following my father. I had no idea that he was in front of me. When about 100 yards from the pool, I heard a cry of "hooey," which was a usual signal between my father and myself. I then hurried forward and found him standing by the pool. He appeared to be much surprised at seeing me, and asked me rather roughly what I was doing there. A conversation ensued which led to high words and almost to blows, for my father was a man of a very violent temper. Seeing that his passion was
Yes.
becoming ungovernable, I left him and
I'm gonna go get
returned
some more
towards
chicken eggs.
Heatherley Farm.
Unless
I'd
somebody's
not
got
gone more than 150 yards,
snow,
however,
or
when
got
I
more
heard a
pumpkins for-
hideous outcry behind me,
we could
which
also
caused me to
do-
run back again.
Oh,
no.
I'm
I
so
found my
glad you
father
asked.
expiring upon the ground.
We could do
with
the
his
Guess what I did the
horribly
other day?
injured. I dropped my gun and held him in my arms,
Have
but
you
he
got
almost
snow golems?
instantly expired. I knelt
Look at
beside him
this.
for some minutes, and then made my way to Mr.
Let's
Turner's
make some
lodgekeeper,
golems.
his house
Oh,
being
you got a baby
nearest,
zombie.
to ask for assistance.
No.
I saw
Never
no one
mind, you
near my
don't.
father when I returned, and I have no
He
idea
picked it up.
how he came
Okay.
by his injuries. He
oops.
was
Oh,
not
do
a
I have
popular
your-
man, being somewhat
shoulder?
cold and forbidding in his
there it
manners. But he had, as far as I know, no active enemies. I know nothing further of the matter. The coroner. Did your father make any statement to you before he died?
Oops.
Witness. He
Uh,
mumbled a
I
few
picked up
words,
your
but I could
magnum
only
block
catch
somehow.
some allusion to a rat. The coroner. What did you understand by that? Witness. It conveyed no meaning to me. I thought that he was delirious. The coroner. What was the point upon which you and your
Cheers.
father had this final
Cheers.
quarrel? Witness. I should prefer not to answer. The coroner. I am afraid that I must press it. Witness. Is it really impossible? It is really impossible for me to tell you. I can assure you that it has nothing to do with the sad tragedy which followed. The coroner. That is for the court to decide. I need not point out to you that your refusal to answer will prejudice your case considerably in any future proceedings which may arise. Witness. I must still refuse. The coroner. I understand that the cry of "Cooey" was a common signal between you and your father? Witness. It was. The coroner. How was it, then, that he uttered it before he saw you, and before he even knew that you had returned from Bristol? Witness, with considerable
There's my
confusion.
shears.
I do not know. The juryman. Did you see nothing which aroused your suspicions when you returned upon hearing the cry and found your father fatally injured? Witness. Nothing definite. The coroner. What do you mean? Witness. I was so disturbed and excited as I rushed out in the open that I could think of nothing except of my father. Yet I have a vague impression that as I ran forward, something lay upon the ground to the left of me. It seemed to me to be something of gray in color, a coat of some sort, or plaid perhaps. When I rose from my father, I looked round for it, but it was gone. Do you mean that it disappeared before you went for help? Yes, it was gone. You cannot say what it was? No, I had a feeling something was there. How far from the body? 12 yards or so. And how far from the edge of the wood?
Before we start a new one.
About the same.
Exercise.
Then, if it was removed while you were within 12 yards of it? Yes, but with my back towards it. This concluded the examination of the witness. I see, said I, as I glanced down at the column, that the coroner in his concluding remarks was rather severe upon young McCarthy. He calls attention, and with reason, to the discrepancy about his father having signaled to him before seeing him, and also to his refusal to give details of his conversation with his father, and his singular account of his father's dying words. They are all, as he remarks, very much against the son. Holmes laughed softly to himself and stretched himself out upon the cushioned seat. Both you and the coroner have been at some pains, said he, to single out the very strongest points in the young man's favor.
Are we ready?
Don't you see that you alternately give him credit for having too much imagination and too little? Too little if he could not invent a cause of a quarrel which would give him sympathy of the jury. Too much if he evolved from his own inner consciousness anything so outré as a dying reference to a rat and the incident of the vanishing cloth. No, sir, I shall approach this case from the point of view that what this young man says is true, and we shall see whither that hypothesis will lead us. And now, here is my pocket Petrarch, and not another word shall I say of the case until we're on the scene. Petrarch is it's like a book of poems. Until we're on the scene of action. We luncheon at Swindon, and I shall see that we shall be there in 20 minutes. It was nearly 4 o'clock when we were at last.
Seemed very interesting, whatever's up there.
The beautiful Stroud Valley and over the broad, gleaming Severn, found ourselves at the pretty little country town of Ross. A lean, ferret-like man, furtive and sly-looking, was waiting for us upon the platform. In spite of the light brown dust coat and leather leggings which he wore in deference to his rustic surroundings, I had no difficulty in recognizing Lestrade of Scotland Yard. With him, we drove to Hereford Arms, where a room had already been engaged for us. "I have ordered a carriage," said Lestrade as we sat over a cup of tea. "I knew your energetic nature, and that you would not be happy until you had been on the scene of the crime." "It was nice and complimentary of you," Holmes answered. "It is entirely a question of barometric pressure." Lestrade looked startled. "I do not quite follow," he said. "How is the glass? 29, I see. No wind and not a cloud in the sky. I have a case full of cigarettes here which need smoking, and the sofa is very much superior to the usual country hotel abomination. I do not think that it is probable that I shall use the carriage tonight." So what Holmes is talking about there, the glass, then that's the barometer glass. So it's an old-fashioned way of telling weather. And by having the number 29 and it's not changing, then that means it's unlikely to rain. Lestrade laughed indulgently. "You have no doubt already formed your conclusions from the newspapers," he said. "The case is as plain as a pikestaff, and the more one goes into it, the plainer it becomes. Still, of course, one can't refuse a lady, and such a very positive one, too. She has heard of you, and would have your opinion, though I repeatedly told her that there was nothing which you could do which I had not already done. Why, bless my soul, here is her carriage at the door." He had hardly spoken, before there rushed into the room one of the most lovely young women that I have ever seen in my life. Her violet eyes were shining, her lips were parted, a pink flush upon her cheeks, all thought of her natural reserve lost in her overpowering excitement and concern. "Oh, Mr. Sherlock Holmes!" she cried, glancing from one to the other of us, and finally, with a woman's quick intuition, fastening upon my companion. "I am so glad that you have come. I've driven down to tell you so. I know that James didn't do it. I know it, and I want you to start your work upon knowing it too. Never let yourself doubt upon that point. We have known each other since we were children, and I know his faults as no one else does. But he is too tender-hearted to hurt a fly. Such a charge is absurd to anyone who really knows him." "I hope we may clear him, Miss Turner," said Sherlock Holmes. "You may rely upon my doing all that I can." But you have read the evidence. You have formed some conclusion. Do you not see some loophole, some flaw? Do you not yourself think that he is innocent?" "I think that it is very probable." "There now," she cried, throwing back her head and looking defiantly at Lestrade.
We got it.
You hear? He gives me hopes." Lestrade shrugged his shoulders. "I am afraid that my colleague is a little quick in forming his conclusions," he said. "But he is right. Oh, I know that he is right. James never did it. And about his quarrel with his father, I am sure the reason why he would not speak about it to the coroner was because I was concerned in it." "In what way?" asked Holmes. "It is no time for me to hide anything. James and his father had many disagreements about me. Mr. McCarthy was very anxious that there should be a marriage between us. James and I have always loved each other as brother and sister, but of course he is young and has seen very little of life yet, and, well, naturally he did not wish to do anything like that yet. So there were quarrels, and this, I'm sure, was one of them." "And your father?" asked Holmes. "Was he in favor of such a union?" "No, he was averse to it also. No one but Mr. McCarthy was in favor of it." A quick blush passed over her fresh young face as Holmes shot her one of his keen, questioning glances at her. "Thank you for this information," said he. "May I see your father if I call tomorrow?" "I'm afraid the doctor won't allow it." "The doctor?" "Yes. Have you not heard? Poor father has never been strong for years back, but this has broken him down completely. He has taken to his bed, and Dr. Willows says that he is a wreck and that his nervous system is shattered. Mr. McCarthy was the only man alive who had known Dad in the old days in Victoria." "Huh? In Victoria? That is important." "Yes, at the mines." "Quite so, at the gold mines where, as I understand, Mr. Turner made his money." "Yes, certainly." "Thank you, Miss Turner. You have been of material assistance to me." "You will tell me if you have any news tomorrow? No doubt you will go to the prison to see James. Oh, if you do, Mr. Holmes, do tell him that I know him to be innocent." "I will, Miss Turner." "I must go home now, for Dad is very ill, and he misses me so if I leave him. Goodbye, and God help you in your undertaking." She hurried from the room as impulsively as she had entered, and we heard the wheels of her carriage rattle off down the street. "I am ashamed of you, Holmes," said Lestrade, with dignity, after a few minutes' silence. "Why should you raise up hopes which you are bound to disappoint? I am not over-tender of heart, but I call it cruel." "I do think that I see my way to clearing James McCarthy," said Holmes. "Have you an order to see him in prison?"
"Yes, but only for you and me."
"Okay. You ready
Then
for
I shall
more?"
reconsider my resolution about going out. We have still time to take a train to Hereford and see him tonight.
Ample.
Oh, Then let us do so. Watson,
I mean, I have to be down
fear
here to
that
get
you
the
will
roses
find
anyway.
it very slow,
Okay.
but I shall only be
Let me know when you're ready.
away a couple of hours.
Just want my pumpkin
I
spec, 'cause
walked
these
down
guys
to the
things are hard
station
to
with
get.
them, and then
snow
wandered
is
through
easy
the
to
streets
get.
of the little town.
Pumpkins are not.
Finally returning to the hotel, where I lay upon the sofa and tried to interest myself
All
in
right,
a yellow-backed
let's
novel.
go.
The puny plot of the story was so thin, however, when compared to the deep mystery which we were groping, and I found
it's
my attention
damaging the
wander
weather-
so
or damaging
continuously
the
from
people already.
action to the fact that I at last flung it across the room and gave myself up entirely to a consideration of the events of the day. Supposing that this unhappy young man's story were absolutely true, then what hellish thing, what absolutely unforeseen and extraordinary calamity could have occurred between the time when he parted from his father and the moment when, drawn back by his screams, he rushed into the glade? It was something terrible and deadly. What could it be? Might not the nature of his injuries reveal something to my medical instincts? I rang the bell and called for the weekly county paper, which contained a verbatim account of the inquest. In the surgeon's deposition, it was stated that the posterior third of the left parietal bone and the left half of the occipital bone had been shattered by a heavy blow from a blunt weapon. I marked the spot
poor
upon my
roses.
own head. Clearly, such a blow must have been struck from behind. There was to some extent in favor of the accused, as, when seen quarreling, he was face to face with his father. Still, it did not go for very much, for the older man might have turned his back before the blow fell. Still, it might be worthwhile to call Holmes's attention to it. Then there was that peculiar dying reference to a rat. What could that mean? It could not be delirium. A man dying from a sudden blow does not commonly become delirious. No, it was more likely to be an attempt to explain how he met his fate, but what could it indicate? I cudgeled my brains to find some possible explanation. And then the incident of the gray cloth seen by young McCarthy. If that were true, the murderer must have dropped some part of his dress, presumably his overcoat, in his flight, and must have had the hardihood to return and carry it away at the instant when the son was kneeling with his back turned and not a dozen paces off. What a tissue of mysteries and improbabilities the whole thing was. I did not wonder at Lestrade's opinion, and yet I had so much faith in Sherlock Holmes's insight that I could not lose hope as long as every fresh fact seemed to strengthen his conviction of young McCarthy's innocence. It was late before Sherlock Holmes returned. He came back alone, for Lestrade was staying in lodgings at the town. "The glass still keeps very high," he remarked as he sat down. "It is of importance that we should not rain before we are able to go over the ground. On the other hand, a man should be at his very best and keenest for such nice work as that, and I did not wish to do it when fagged by a long journey. I have seen young McCarthy." "And what did you learn from him?" "Nothing." "Could he throw no light?" "None at all. I was inclined to think at one time that he knew who had done it and was screening him or her, but I am convinced now that he is as puzzled as everyone else. He is not a very quick-witted youth, though comely to look at, I should think, sound at heart." "I cannot admire his taste," I remarked, "if it is indeed a fact that he was averse to a marriage with so charming a young lady as this Miss Turner." "Ah, thereby hangs a rather painful tale. This fellow is madly, insanely in love with her. But some 2 years ago, when he was only a lad, before he really knew her, for she had been away 5 years at a boarding school, what does the idiot do but get into the clutches of a barmaid in Bristol and marry her at a registry office? No one knows a word of the matter,
Strawberry,
but
can I
you
get
can
those back?
imagine how maddening it
yes,
must
the
be to
pumpkins.
him to be upbraided for not doing what he would give his very eyes to
Hoping to
do.
like them.
but what he knows to be absolutely impossible. It was sheer frenzy of this sort which made him throw his hands up into the air when his father, at their last interview, was goading him on to propose to Miss Turner. On the other hand, he had no means of supporting himself, and his father, who was by all accounts a very hard man, would have thrown him over utterly had he known the truth. It was with his barmaid wife that he had spent the last 3 days in Bristol, and his father did not know where he was. Mark that point. It is of importance. Good has come out of evil, however, for the barmaid, finding from the papers that he is in serious trouble and likely to be hanged, has thrown him over utterly, and has written to him to say that she has a husband already in the Bermuda dockyard, so that there is really no tie between them. And I think that that bit of news has consoled young McCarthy for all that he has suffered. But if he is innocent, who has done it?
Probably enough for this round.
Who? I would call your attention particularly to 2 points. One is that the murdered man had an appointment with someone at the pool, and that the someone could not have been his son, for his son was away, and he did not know when he would return. The second is that the murdered man was heard to cry, "Cooey," before he knew that his son had returned. Those are the crucial points upon which the case depends. And now let us talk about George Meredith, if you please, and we shall leave all minor matters until tomorrow. There was no rain, as Holmes had foretold, and the morning broke bright and cloudless. At 9 o'clock, Lestrade called for us with the carriage, and we set off for Hatherley Farm and the Boscombe Pool.
Yep.
There is serious news
this morning, Lestrade observed. It is said that Mr. Turner of the Hall is so ill that his life is despaired of.
An elderly man, I presume, said Holmes.
About 60, but his constitution has been shattered by his life abroad, and he has been in failing health for some time. This business has had a very bad effect upon him. He was an old friend of McCarthy's, and, I may add, a great benefactor to him, for I have learned that he gave him Hatherley Farm rent-free.
Indeed, that is interesting, said Holmes.
Oh, yes, in 100 other ways he has helped him. Everybody about here speaks of his kindness to him.
Really? Does it not strike you as a little singular that this McCarthy, who appears to have had little of his own, and to have been under such obligations to Turner, should talk of marrying his son to Turner's daughter, who is, presumably, heiress to the estate, and that in such a very cocksure manner, as if it were merely a case of proposal, and all else would follow? It is the more strange, since we know that Turner himself was averse to the idea. The daughter told us as much. Do you not deduce something from that?
We have got to the deductions and the inferences,
said Lestrade, winking at me.
I find it hard enough to tackle facts, Holmes, without flying away after theories and fancies.
You are right, said Holmes demurely. You do find it very hard to tackle the facts.
Anyhow, I have grasped one fact which you seem to find it difficult to get a hold of,
replied Lestrade with some warmth, and that is
that McCarthy Sr. met his death from McCarthy Jr., and that all theories to the contrary are the merest moonshine.
Well, moonshine is a brighter thing than fog, said Holmes, laughing, but I am very much mistaken if this is not Hatherley Farm upon the left.
Yes, that it is.
It was a wide-spread, comfortable-looking, two-storied, slate-roofed, with great yellow blotches of lichen upon the grey walls. The drawn blinds and the smokeless chimneys, however, gave it a stricken look, as though the weight of this horror still lay heavily upon it. We called at the door. Well,
those
the
pumpkins are
maid,
dropped for
at
you.
Holmes's request, showed us the boots which her master
At
wore at the
34.
time of his death, and also a pair of the son's, although not the pair which he had then had. Having measured these very carefully from 7 or 8
That's right, I
different
remember
points,
reading
Holmes desired to be
this
led to the courtyard,
method is 100%
from which we
self-sustainable
followed
because
the
you get
winding
everything
track
back that
which
you
led to
use
Boscombe
to summon
Pool.
these guys.
Yeah.
Sherlock Holmes was transformed when he was hot upon a scent such as this. Men who had only known the quiet thinker and logician of Baker Street
That's all my
would have
pumpkins.
failed to recognize him. His face flushed and darkened. His brows were drawn into 2 hard black lines, while his eyes shone out from beneath them with a steely glitter. His face was bent downward, his shoulders bowed, his lips compressed. The veins stood out like whipcord in his long, sinewy neck. His nostrils seemed to dilate with a purely animal lust for the chase, and his mind was so absolutely concentrated upon the matter before him that a question or remark fell unheeded upon his ears, or, at the most, only provoked a quick, impatient snarl in reply. Swiftly and silently he made his way along the track which ran through the meadows, and so, by way of woods, to the Boscombe Pool. It was damp, marshy ground, as is all that district, and there were marks of many feet, both upon the path and amid the short grass which bounded it on either side. Sometimes Holmes would hurry on, sometimes stop dead, and once he made quite a little detour into the meadow. Lestrade and I walked behind him, the detective indifferent and contemptuous, while I watched my friend with the interest which sprang from the conviction that every one of his actions was directed toward a definite end.
Let's see if I have more
Hydrate
skulls.
the Boscombe Pool,
Yeah, more.
which is a
You back?
little
I
re-girt
do
sheet
not
of water some
necessarily
50
have more
yards
wither
across,
skulls.
is
That might have been
situated
my
at the
last
boundary
got 7.
between the Hatherley farm
Okay.
and the private part
So we got
of
2
the
more
wealthy
rounds.
Mr.
2 more
Turner.
rounds.
Yes.
Above the woods which lined it upon the farther side, we
much
could see
better.
the
Come
red
join us,
jutting
Pepsi, if you
pinnacles
want.
which marked the side
I
of
mean,
the
I
rich
would, but my
landowner's
desk is a
dwelling.
mess right now,
On
and
the
I don't have the time
Hatherley
and
side of
energy
the
to
pool,
just clear it
the
off.
woods grew
Okay.
very thick, and there was a narrow belt of
Yeah, but I'm gonna
sun
go now
grass
again.
20 paces
Okay.
across between the edge of the trees and the reeds which lined the lake. Lestrade showed us the exact spot at which the body had been found, and indeed so moist was the ground that I could plainly see the traces which had been left by the fall of the stricken man. To Holmes, as I could see by his eager face and peering eyes,
goes.
very many other things were to be read upon the trampled grass. He ran round like a dog who is picking up a scent, and then turned upon my companion. "What did you go in the pool for?" he asked.
I fished about with a rake. I thought there might be some weapon or other trace, but how on earth?
"Ah, tut tut, I have no time. That left foot of yours with its inward twist is all over the place. A mole could trace it, and there it vanishes among the reeds. Oh, how simple it would have been had I been here before they all came like a herd of buffalo and wallowed all over it. Here is where the party with the lodge-keeper came, and they have covered all tracks for 6 or 8 feet round the body. But here are 3 separate tracks of the same feet." He drew out a lens and lay down upon his waterproof to have a better view, taking all the time rather to himself than to us.
These are young McCarthy's feet. Twice he was walking, and once he ran swiftly, so that the soles are deeply marked and the heels are hardly visible.
That bears out his
Oh,
story.
I see this.
He ran when he saw his father
keeps
on the
getting
ground.
deeper.
Then here
Yes.
are the father's feet as he paced up and down. What is this, then? It is the butt end of the gun, as the son stood listening. And this? Ha! What have we here? Tiptoes, tiptoes, square, too. Quite unusual boots. They come, they go, they come again. Of course, that was from the cloak. Now, where did they come from? He ran up and down, sometimes losing, sometimes finding the track, until we were well within the edge of the wood, and under the shadow of a great beech, the largest tree in the neighborhood. Holmes traced his way to the farther side of this, and lay down once more upon his face with a cry of satisfaction. For a long time he remained there, turning over the leaves and dried sticks, gathering up what seemed to be dust into an envelope, and examining with his lens not only the ground, but even the bark of the tree as far as he could reach. A jagged stone was lying among the moss, and this also he carefully examined and retained. Then he followed a pathway through the wood until he came to the high road, where all traces were lost. "It has been a case of considerable interest," he remarked, returning to his usual manner. "I fancy that this grey house on the right must be the lodge, and I think that I will go in and have a word with Moran, and perhaps write a little note. Having done that, we may drive back to our luncheon. You may walk to the cab, and I shall be with you presently." It was about 10 minutes before we regained our cab and drove back into Ross, Holmes still carrying with him the stone which he had picked up in the wood. "This may interest you, Lestrade," he remarked, holding it out. "The murder was done with it." "I see no marks." "There are none." "How do you know, then?" "The grass was growing under it. It had only lain there a few days. There was no sign of a place whence it had been taken. It corresponds with the injuries. There is no sign of any other weapon."
"And the murderer?"
"It is a tall man, left-handed, limps with the right leg, wears thick-soled shooting boots and a grey cloak, smokes Indian cigars, uses a cigar holder, and carries a blunt penknife in his pocket. There are several other indications, but these may be enough to aid us in our search." Lestrade laughed.
"I am afraid I am still a skeptic," he said. "Theories are all very well, but we have to deal with a hard-headed British jury."
"Nos ferens," answered Holmes calmly. "You work your method, and I shall work mine. I shall be busy this afternoon, and shall probably return to London by the evening train." "And leave your case unfinished?" "No, finished."
"But the mystery?"
"It is solved." "Who is the criminal, then?" "The gentleman I described."
"But who is he?"
"Surely it would not be difficult to find out. This is not such a populous neighborhood." Lestrade shrugged his shoulders.
"I am a practical man," he said, "and I really cannot undertake to go about the country looking for a left-handed gentleman with a game leg. I should become the laughing-stock of Scotland Yard."
"All right," said Holmes quietly. "I have given you the chance. Here are your lodgings. Goodbye. I shall drop you a line before I leave." Having left Lestrade at his rooms, we drove to our hotel, where we found lunch upon the table. Holmes was silent and buried in thought, with a pained expression upon his face, as one who finds himself in a perplexing position. "Look here, Watson," he said when the cloth was cleared. "Just sit down in this chair and let me preach to you for a little. I don't know quite what to do, and I should value your advice. Light a cigar and let me expound." "Pray do so." "Well, now, in considering this case, there are 2 points about young McCarthy's narrative which struck us both instantly, although they impressed me in his favor and you against him. One was the fact that his father should, according to his account, cry "Cooey" before seeing him. The other was that his singular dying reference to a rat. He mumbled several words, you understand, but that was all that caught the son's ear. Now, from this double point, our research must commence, and we must begin it by presuming what the lad says is absolutely true." "What of this Cooey, then?" "Well, obviously it could not have been meant for the son. The son, as far as he knew, was in Bristol. It was a mere chance that he was within earshot. The Cooey was meant to attract the attention of whoever it was that he had the appointment with. But Cooey is a distinctly Australian cry, one which is used between Australians. There is a strong presumption that the person whom McCarthy expected to meet him at Boscombe Pool was someone who had been in Australia.
What of the rat, then?
Hey,
Sherlock
hello,
Holmes took a
sweetie.
folded paper from his pocket and flattened it out on the table. "This is a map of the colony of Victoria," he said. "I wired to Bristol for it last night." He put his hand over part of the map. "What do you read?" "A rat," I read. "And now?" He raised his hand. "Ballarat." "Quite so. That was the word the man uttered, and of which his son only caught the last 2 syllables. He was trying to utter the name of his murderer, so-and-so of Ballarat." "It is wonderful!" I exclaimed. "It is obvious. And now, you see, I had narrowed the field down considerably. The possession of a grey garment was a third point, which, granting the son's statement to be correct, was a certainty. We have come now of mere vagueness to the definite conception of an Australian from Ballarat with a grey cloak." "Certainly." "And one who was at home in the district, for the pool can only be approached by the farm or by the estate, where strangers could hardly wander." "Quite so." "Then comes our expedition of today. By an examination of the ground, I gained the trifling details which I gave to that imbecile Lestrade as to the personality of the criminal."
We did it.
"But how did you gain them?" "You know my method. It is founded upon
That was the last one.
observation of
All
trifles.
right.
His height, I knew.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
His height, I
That
know
was
that you might
fun,
roughly
and
judge from the
now
length of his
I
stride.
can go
His
decorate
boots,
some
too,
for
might be told from
Halloween.
their traces.
Oh, somebody
Yes,
has
they were
more.
peculiar boots. But his
Turtle
lameness,
has more. Do you guys want to keep
the
going?
impression of his right foot, always less distinct than his left. He put less weight upon it. Why?
Thank you, Turtle.
I think we needed a new pit.
He was lame.
Yeah, here, let's
But
go.
his left-handedness?
Let's go like deeper
You
into
were
the
yourself
cave here.
struck by the nature of the injury as it was recorded by the surgeon at the inquest. The blow was struck from immediately behind, and yet was upon the left side. Now, how can that be unless it were by a left-handed
could go
man?
here.
He had stood behind the tree during the interview between father and son. Even smoked there, I found the ash of a cigar, which my special knowledge of tobacco ashes enables me to pronounce as an Indian cigar. I have, as you know, devoted some attention to this, and written a little monograph on the ashes of 140 different
How many
varieties
skulls
of
did you
pipe,
get?
cigar, and cigarette tobacco.
What was
Having
that?
found the ash,
How many skulls
I
did you
then
get?
looked round and discovered the
he
stump among
gave
the
me a whole
moss
stack.
where he had tossed it. It was an
goodness,
Indian
I don't
cigar
want to be
of the
around
variety
for 3 hours.
Rotterdam.
Yeah.
And the cigar holder? I could see that the
don't
end
have
had
that much
not
snow
been in
this
his
time.
mouth. Therefore, he used a holder. The tip had been cut off, not bitten off, but the cut was not a clean one, so I deduced a blunt penknife. "Holmes," I said, "you have drawn a
I've
net
got a lot.
around this man from which he cannot escape, and you have saved an innocent
the
human life
whole-
as truly as if you had cut the cord which was hanging him. I see the direction
There's
in
11
which
minutes
this
left
all
in the Sherlock Holmes
all this
thing.
points. The culprit is
So we can go for that long. Because I
Mr.
don't want
John
to be
Turner,"
here all night.
cried the whole
There's a
hotel
football game
waiter,
going on that I
opening
want
the
to watch.
door of our sitting room and
Yeah.
ushering in a
Well,
visitor.
thank you for joining me for this part.
The man who entered was a strange and impressive figure. His slow,
own-
limping step and
Well,
bowed
it's
shoulders
NFL,
gave
but
the
I know you
appearance
don't
of
watch football,
decrepitude.
so
And yet his hard, deep-lined, craggy features and his enormous limbs showed that he was in possession of unusual
the
strength
49ers
of
went to
body
the-
and character.
Oh
His
goodness,
tangled
it was
beard,
2 years
grizzled
ago, not
hair,
last year.
and outstanding drooping eyebrows combined to give an air of
Yeah, I don't
dignity
really
and
follow
power to
football.
his appearance. But his face was of
It's
an
all right.
ashen white, while his lips and the corners of his nostrils were tinged with a shade of blue. It was clear to
The
me
thing
in
I
a
don't like about
glance that
this
he
now is
was in the
that,
grip
well,
of some
that's,
deadly and chronic disease.
The fun part about this part is killing the withers with the end part you don't have
Pray,
to
sit down upon
summon
the sofa,
so many
said
withers
Holmes
because that's the
gently.
annoying
You
part.
had my note?
Yeah.
Yes, the lodgekeeper brought it up. You said that you wished to see me here to avoid a scandal.
We could summon way more.
I thought if people would talk.
Okay.
I thought people would talk if
Oh,
I
you want
went
to do
the
more
hall.
than one at a time?
And why did you wish to see
No,
me?
snow
He looked
golems.
across
You
at
can
my
use gravity
companion with
to
despair in
help.
his weary eyes, as though his question was already answered.
Okay. Here we go.
Yes, said Holmes, answering the look rather than the words. It is so. I know all about McCarthy. The old man sank his face in his hands. God help me, he cried, but I would not have let the young man come to harm. I give you my word that I would have spoken out if it went against him at the Assizes.
My inventory
I
is
am
completely
glad to
full
hear
of
you say
stuff.
so, said
Okay,
Holmes
let's
gravely.
go.
I would have spoken now had it not been for my dear girl. It would break her heart. It will break her heart when she hears that I am arrested. It may not come to that, said Holmes. What? I am no official agent. I understand that it was your daughter who required my presence here, and I am acting in her interests. Young McCarthy must be got off, however. I am a dying man, said the old turner. I've had diabetes for years. My doctor says it is a question of whether I shall live a month, yet I would rather die under my own roof than in a jail. Holmes rose and sat down at the table with his pen in his hand and a bundle of paper before him. Just tell us the truth, he said. I shall jot down the facts, you will sign it, and Watson here can witness it. Then I could produce your confession as the last extremity to save young McCarthy. I promise you that I shall not use it unless it is absolutely needed. It's as well, said the old man. It is a question of whether I shall live to see the Assizes.
So did you read the
so
whole
it
book for
matters
this part,
little
or
to
just part
me,
of it?
but
Well,
I should
just
wish
this
to
chapter.
spare Alice the shock.
It's
Oh,
a-
chapter.
And now
Yeah,
I
it's a
will make
1 hour
the thing
mystery,
clear to
basically.
you. It has been a long time in the acting, but will not take me long to tell. You didn't know this dead man, McCarthy. Oh, you didn't know this dead man, McCarthy. He was a devil incarnate. I shall tell you that. God keep you out of the clutches of a man such as he. His grip has been upon me these 20 years, and he has blasted my life. I'll tell you first how I came to be in his power. It was in the early 60s, at the diggings. I was a young chap then, hot-blooded and reckless, ready to turn my hand at anything. I got among bad companions, and took to drink, and had no luck with my claim. Took to the bush, and in a word, became what you would call over here a highway robber. There were 6 of us, and we had a wild, free life of it, sticking up a station from time to time, or stopping the wagons on the road to the diggings. Black Jack of Ballarat
Okay.
was the
Are we
name I
ready?
went under, and our party is still remembered in the colony as the Ballarat Gang. One day, a gold convoy came down
guys
from
are so
Ballarat
all
to
over
Melbourne,
here,
and we lay in wait for it
Yeah,
and
don't
attacked it.
Build
There
it
were
up in
6
the air and let it
troopers,
fall.
6
It's not
of
going
us,
to
so
work
it was
here.
a close thing. But we emptied 4 of their saddles at the first volley. 3 of our boys were killed, however, before we got the swag. I put my pistol to the head of the wagon driver, who was this very man McCarthy. I wished to be the Lord that I had shot him then, but I spared him, though I saw his wicked little eyes fixed upon my face, as though to remember every feature. We got away with the gold, became wealthy men, and made our way over to England without being suspected. There, I parted from my old pals and determined to settle down to a quiet and respectable life. I bought this estate, which chanced to be in the market, and set myself to do a little good with my money, to make up for the way which I had earned it. I married, too, And though my wife died young, she left my dear little Alice. Even when she was just a baby, her wee hand seemed to lead me down the right path, as nothing had ever done. In a word, I turned over a new leaf and did my best to make up for the past. All was going well when McCarthy laid his grip upon me. I had gone to town about an investment, and I met him in Regent Street with hardly a coat to his back or a boot to his foot. "Here we are, Jack," says he, touching me on the arm. "We'll be as good as family to you. There's 2 of us, me and my son, and if you can have the keeping of us, if you don't, it's a fine law-abiding country, is England. There's always a policeman within hail." Well, down they came to the West Country. There was no shaking them off, and there they have lived rent-free on my best land ever since. There was no rest for me, no peace, no forgetfulness, turn where I would. There was his cunning, grinning face at my elbow. It grew worse as Alice grew up, for he soon saw I was more afraid of her knowing my past than of the police. Whatever he wanted, he must have, and whatever it was, I gave him without question. Land, money, houses, until at last he asked a thing which I could not give. He asked for Alice. His son, you see, had grown up, and so had my girl, and as I was known to be in weak health, it seemed a fine stroke to him that his lad should step into the whole property. But there I was firm. I would not have any of his cursed stock mixed with mine. Not that I had any dislike to the lad, but his blood was in him, and that was enough. I stood firm. McCarthy threatened. I braved him to do his worst. We were to meet at the pool midway to between our houses, to talk it over. When I went down there, I found him talking with his son, so I smoked a cigar and waited behind a tree until he should be alone. But as I listened to his talk, all that was black and bitter in me seemed to come uppermost. He was urging his son to marry my daughter with his little regard for what she might think, as if she were a slut from off the street.
So I guess this will be our last
It drove me mad to think that I and all that I held most dear should be in power of such a man as this. Could I not snap the bond? I was already a dying, a desperate man, though clear of mind and fairly strong of limb. I knew that my own fate was sealed, but my memory and my girl both could be saved if I could but silence that foul tongue. I did it, Mr. Holmes. I would do it again. Deeply as I have sinned, I have led a life of martyrdom to atone for it. But that my girl should be entangled in the same meshes withheld me, which more than I could suffer. I struck him down with no more compunction than if he had been some foul and venomous beast. His cry brought back his son, but I had gained the cover of the wood, though I was forced to go back and fetch the cloak which I had dropped in my flight. That is the true story, gentlemen, of all that occurred.
You ready to go?
"Well, it is not for me to judge you," said Holmes, as the old man signed the statement which had been drawn out. "I pray that we may never be exposed to such a temptation."
Abstract, you ready?
I pray not, sir.
Yep.
And what do you intend to do?
In view of your health,
All
nothing.
the snow people
You
go
are
after the
yourself
weather.
aware that you
I
will
hadn't
soon
known
have
that
to
about
answer for
snowmen.
your deed at a higher court than the Azizes. I will keep your confession, and if McCarthy is condemned, I shall be forced to use it. If not, it shall never be seen by mortal eyes, and your secret, whether you be alive or dead, shall be safe with us.
Farewell, then, said the old man solemnly. Your own deathbeds, when they come, will be the easier for the thought of the peace which you have given to mine.
Tottering and shaking in all his giant frame, he stumbled slowly from the room.
We got
God
it.
help us, said Holmes after a long silence.
I guess that's the last one.
Why does fate
Yep.
play such tricks with poor helpless worms? I never hear of such a case as this, that I do not think
Here's
of
the
Baxter's
questions.
words and say,
All
there,
right.
but for the grace of God, goes Sherlock Holmes.
Do you want to...
James McCarthy was acquitted at the Assizes on
everything
the
in
strength of a number of
Okay.
objections which had been drawn
Everybody
out by
put
Holmes
the snow and
and
the extra
submitted to the
pumpkins and
defending
stuff back in
counsel.
here.
Old Turner lived for 7 months after our interview, but he is now dead, and there is every prospect that
I'll
the
take it
son
back
and
to the
daughter
end.
may come to live happily together in ignorance of the black cloud which rests
Turtle,
upon
do you
their
want your
past.
skulls back?
The end.
The Boscombe Valley Mystery. We were seated at breakfast one morning, my wife and I, when the maid brought in a telegram.
Loops.
It was from Sherlock Holmes. There we go. Okay. The story is over.
Drink water.
Yeah, it's really funny for me to see these stories that were written over 100 years ago, and just the sense of morality is just a little bit different than we have these days. The guy like became really wealthy by stealing gold, and Sherlock Holmes wants to just sort of let him and his daughter just kind of keep the money, not giving it back to where it belongs. But that it's a different morality from back then.
Bro's a living example of who's the pillager now.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, 10 more push-ups and squats tomorrow.
baby zombie.
Oops, yikes. Yeah, so tomorrow we are doing a Hollow Knight stream. So I will be streaming Hollow
Requested
Knight.
by me.
Yes, yeah, requested by Abstract Structure. 20,000 Twitch channel points. So you have been watching
I have
for a
too
long
many.
time.
It should be 30,000.
Yeah, but you don't redeem it too often, and you redeem games that I like to play, so therefore I haven't increased it. Alrighty, so yes, that will be tomorrow. One last set of push-ups and squats. Here we go. Join me in body or spirit for 10 squats. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. And 10 push-ups. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okie dokie. So, let me say goodbye to everybody. Lullaby time. Thank you, everyone,
Bye to
for joining.
YouTube.
Yes, goodbye, YouTube. Ooh, I see somebody's made a sign. I have to see what's on the sign. Turtle was here. Yeah. Alrighty. So, let us see. Oh, first, let's say goodbye to YouTube. Bye, YouTube.